We're glad to have you back. This is the Signature Morning on Signature TV. The Supreme Court's judgment of July 11, 2024 reaffirmed the autonomy of local governments in Nigeria, emphasizing their independence in financial management and governance. This landmark decision has the potential to redefine grassroots development by empowering local government areas to function effectively without undue interference from state government. However, its implementation has faced significant challenges, particularly in states like Rivers and Edo, where political and structural hurdles persist. Today, we dive into the critical issues surrounding the implementation of Supreme Court judgment on local government autonomy. What does this judgment mean for grassroots governance? Why are some states struggling to comply? And most importantly, how can we ensure that local governments fulfill their constitutional roles to deliver better governance and development at the local government level? Joining us to provide insights and explore practical solution is Honorable Elder Ngozi Huoma. He's the Executive Secretary, Legislative Watch. Good morning and welcome, Elder.
Good morning, my sister. How are you?
I am doing great.
Good.
How are you doing this morning, Elder Ngozi?
I'm okay.
All right,
Let
let's
me
begin.
start by.
Go ahead.
Let me start by saying that. Nigerians are a little worried and disappointed in the fact that when a Supreme Court, which is the highest court in the land, it serves both as a court of justice and policy, gives an order, people who are supposed to be executing that order seems to be rewriting the order. What am I saying? Since 1979, 45 years ago, the local governments were given their autonomy by the Constitution in the Second Republic. That is why Section 149, that had the federation account, had this sharing formula among the three tiers of government: federal, state, and local government. It is unfortunate that Nigerians, especially the elites, have refused to do what is right. What is that is right? The president at the federal level, at the National Assembly, conducts election to the State House of Assembly and governor of a state. There's nowhere from Northern Barracks in Lagos to Aso Rock in Abuja that a governor has been sworn in at the council chambers by the president. What have we noticed since the Supreme Court judgment of 11 July 2024? States hurriedly selected people, their cronies and allies, in any party they like. One will wake up one morning in Rivers State and discover that APP had won 22 out of 20 local governments in Rivers State, and AA got one in a party that is controlled by a sitting PDP governor. The next door neighbor, Abia State, just conducted election the next week. A Labour party that is in power brought in 15 Zenith Labour Party chairmen and 2 YPP chairmen. Where were they sworn in? The next morning, all of them, the chairmen, were sworn in at the council chambers of the various government house in Rivers State and Abia State. What an aberration. Is it an affront of the Supreme Court? Will the Attorney General of the Federation keep watching as there is flagrant disobedience? Will the Code of Conduct Tribunal, the Code of Conduct Bureau, sit idle and watch crass irresponsibility? Will the Nigerian Police Force, Special Fraud Unit, watch as there is a desecration of the ground norm? The answer is no. So, we should not be talking about any other thing other than implementation, which is that local governments will have direct allocation of both federation accounts and as of today, 10% of the IGR being the joint account sent to them to run their various communities. What of the budget? At the federal level, the MTF and FSP have been prepared for the president to lay the budget of the nation for 7 trillion before National Assembly. At the state level, the state governors are already prepared and some have already laid the budget to the House of Assembly. What has happened to the local government allocations? Is their budget being prepared? Is it being laid before the councillors for passage? Has the communities been engaged so that they can articulate what they need as the youth tide is coming up? These are the implementation. But today, the chairmen are still waiting for the governor and House of Assembly. I don't know what level of arrangement is that. Are they going to prepare the budget of local governments as a sub? These are the issues in implementation.
Okay, but can you, what, in your own words, what do you think are the specific challenges, hindering this implementation in some of implementation of these judgments in some states, like you mentioned, Rivers State without a functional House of Assembly and Edo with an opposition-controlled House of Assembly? What do you think are the challenges hindering this implementation?
There is no challenge except the fact that it is the governors who have sworn that nothing will work in Nigeria. The governors who have made themselves emperors. The governors who think that as of today, they want to shut down a tax reform, even when the president haven't presented an executive bill that asks them to go to the National Assembly, which is in normal practice, and adumbrate whatever is their grievances if they have any. That is their constitutional right. But what are they doing? They ask Mr. President to shut down. We see some of these things as what is wrong in the governors allowing the local government chairman constitutionally elected to run their local government. What is wrong? Let me give you an example in Imo State. There are 27 local governments. So it is assumed from the constitutional provision that the governor of Imo State, Senator Hogos Odemma, will govern Imo State with 27 elected chairmen while he is the governor of the state. The same way the president is managing the country with 36 governors and several local governments chairmen plus 6 area council chairmen. That is what, there is no confusion other than the fact that there is greed. There is greed. In Rivers State today, that state cannot function because there is no House of Assembly in place. Even though they are in court of appeal challenging the issue that they have no functional budget because the budget of Rivers State elapsed on 30th of June 2024. They have no budget as of today, and I'm sure no bank will honor anything from them. So the local governments are the only people that are supposed to be functioning today in Rivers State by presenting their budget to their various councillors, who in turn will pass, and the chairman will assent to it, and there will be total grassroots development. In Edo State, we have now an opposition party governor in the person of Ihodalo, Senator Ihodalo, managing a House of Assembly that is populated by PDP, and council chairmen who were elected by the same PDP and councillors. What did we hear? There's a committee, a state recovery committee, that is now asking, demanding, contrary to Supreme Court judgment, that the local government chairman render account to them. As what and as who? The Supreme Court in 2006 made it clear that the relationship between a local government and the state is coordinate and not subordinate. And that is where I expected the Attorney General of Federation to mobilize all the federal forces, because it's an affront on the federal government that the states do not want the local governments to function. We are not talking about any constitutional amendment here. There is no need for constitutional amendment. The committee that sat in Abuja on Monday by the House of Reps is an aberration. We cannot be talking about a constitutional amendment when we are talking about implementation. The Revenue Mobilization and Police Commission and the Attorney General of Federation should ensure that the total funds are sent directly to local governments. And when they receive it, they cannot spend until they have been able to send their budget, which shows how they are going to apply these funds judiciously and judicially to their various councillors, who must have gotten input from their various communities for total development. Okay? So the argument is, why is the governors, why are they bent on killing the third tier of government? Why are they not allowing the chairmen and the councillors to operate as a tier of government the same way that the federal government does? They were all complaining that INEC introduced glitches in 2024 election, 2022 election.
Seriously.
Today, what did they do? Hello?
Ijoma, can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
All right. So, by your own thoughts, I mean, it does look like even the reasons in the first place why this judgment was made by the Supreme Court has been eroded. Some of the gains that we would have thought that we would make with this latest pronouncement by the Supreme Court, you know, maybe we will not even gain it anymore. I mean, it's been railroaded by this latest development. I don't know, what for you do you think we could do to further deepen democratic tenets so that the local government can, you know, independently work beyond, you know, the interference of the state government?
Now, let me say that by my training and by my position, having been in government for about 28, going to 29 years since 1996, I will not advocate for any kind of revolution. But let me warn our governors, with due respect, that they may force Nigerians into going to the streets. Today, a governor determines the salary of a chairman of a local government. Today, a governor determines the salary of the councillors and determines how many people they will employ. Is that what we are talking about? The constitution is very clear on what is the role of a governor in the state. And we have 36 states under one president. And if the president is not breathing down their neck, and today they're asking the president, can you represent, withdraw the tax bill? Can you do more consultations? Have they asked any chairman of a local government, what is your view about the tax reform? And they're not chief executives. Have they called their councillors to find out what is it that we're talking about value-added tax fact in your local government? Have they done that? What we have noticed in the last 45 years is governors thinking that they share the same powers with the president, but they do not want any of those powers to be managed by anybody, even when those powers have been given constitutionally. Nigerians must rise up. This coming December, I think people who come home should be able to look at their communities very well and ask themselves, have our governors delivered? The chairman and councillors should be man enough to know that whether you were handpicked, whether you were selected, whether you were published, whatever it is that brought you to power, somebody must aid you one way or the other to come to power. That's what political party is, an association and aggregation. But that is the end of it. You now have a constitution that backs you up. Section 7 is clear. Section 3 sub 6 is clear. Section 1, 6 sub 3 and 5 is clear. There are so many sections that empowers you as a chairman. Get involved with your people. Talk to your people. Bring them on board. Don't see yourself as an errand boy. Because this particular judgment is the 10th since 1982. The 10th judgment in favor of the local governments that the governor swore. Can you hear the former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshomole, saying that it's better to have 768 tips than to have 36 tips? Is that what's supposed to come from a former governor of a state? Because they knew what they have done. Today we have a government that is only in 2 tiers, and they come up with all manner of people, professors from universities, who doesn't even understand what they're talking about, telling you that there's nowhere in the world where there are 3 tiers of government. Our government, since 1979, on the presidential system of government, runs on the 3 tiers of government. And nobody should tell you how it is managed in Sweden, how it is managed in Germany, or Do you know that in the United States, the senior president of the United States is the vice president? Is that what we have here? Why do we draw comparison between apple and orange? The Supreme Court made a pronouncement, and we all, as Nigerians, we all must resist the attempt by 36 governors who don't even recognize their deputies as part of their government to now muzzle up the chairman. We must rise up and defend our individual local governments. We must rise up. I am going to ask the federal government, which is what they're going to do, to publish allocation of local governments since July to date. Let every state governor tell the people where their funds are. I'm being careful not to incite any uprising. I'm being careful not to ask the people to be on the street. But the governors should be warned. If they are not being managed by the president, they should not manage local governments. The local governments are autonomous by the constitutional provision, by the Supreme Court judgment. They are and must be allowed to function in that respect.
All right. Do you think the appointment of the chairman of the electoral bodies within the states, if it's done at the federal level, would in any way go a long way in making sure that our electoral system within the states, does better? Because again, if the state government is involved largely in appointing, who leads the electoral body within the state, I mean, it's done and dusted. It's just for him to take instruction from the governor directly and do the needful. Do you think if there's another way to appoint the state electoral bodies, that there might be something better, than what we are used to?
I am one person who believes strongly that we must strengthen institutions. It is a shame that 36 state independent commissions who were there when the whole world pounced on INEC for introducing glitches to a well-structured electoral form, IREV reporting system that should have sent the results real time, and they brought in glitches. All the people in the world, that particular pronouncement of glitches by INEC put a lot of question mark on them. So who are we talking about? We felt that the 36 state independent commissions would have been, at least one of them would have done something different. Did we hear any of them resign? The same way we have 36 House of Assemblies, different from National Assembly, that are doing things. What they are trying to tell Nigerians is that, first of all, they rubbish their political party. Just yesterday, you see members of Labour Party defecting to APC, from PDP defecting, as if there is a known division in their party. The constitution says there must be division. What is division at national level? That this party will have at least 2 national party offices recognized by INEC. But you can see them jumping, because today politics is a jolly viable business. Instead of being a place where you provide enabling environment for every Nigerian to sort out his living, it has become people now wangle their way into the authority and grasp the federation account or whatever IGR it is and manage for themselves. I do not subscribe to, because at the federal level, it is the president that appoints INEC chairman, commissioners, and everybody. So what is wrong that the state governor is appointing CX members? But go and look at the criteria. People of integrity, people who have honor. That's people who are supposed to be members of CX, just like people who are supposed to be in INEC. It is a failure on the part of all Nigerians. Incidentally, we are the biggest black nation in the world, and we are supposed to set the example. What we present is hopelessness to the black world, that we cannot manage ourselves. What is wrong in a state electoral commission having appropriation from the state assembly? Go and verify. No state independent electoral commission got any appropriation from their House of Assembly, which is an aberration. So from where did they operate? If they allow the governor to now give them money, what stopped the governor from writing the result? Did any of them protest that we didn't get appropriation to run this election? They did not, because all of them felt they wanted to sabotage the system. Will it work? It will not work. This particular judgment will be a stepping stone for every Nigerian. In the last 6 months, since May, I have been around, both on radio, television, and everywhere, canvassing after 29 years. What I have seen is the ills of this particular democratic dispensation. Why is it working? Why is it functioning in other lives? Why are we different people? Okay? But we must get it right. So I do not subscribe. The CS who have messed themselves up will live with it. There is a Professor Humphrey who just died. Has that not been applauded? The proponent of option A4 that brought late Abiola's election, are we not celebrating him? So they have his time with history. History will not forgive them for not standing up in honor and integrity when it beckoned on them, even when there's a Supreme Court backing them.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at what is happening in some states like Edo, for instance. We know that its House of Assembly is controlled by opposition members, adding political tension to its local government autonomy enforcement. And Edo State, as a recovery panel, is demanding financial accounts from its 18 local governments from 2023. Now my question is, what legal boundaries exist, regarding state interference in local government finances?
In 2005, Abia State, Lagos State, and Delta State filed processes in the Supreme Court challenging a law passed by a National Assembly that is monitoring of allocation to local government act of 2005. Now, that suit filed by Abia and 2 other states versus the federal government and 33 other states was ruled upon on July 7, 2006. The lead judgment was delivered by Nick Itobi, now late, Justice of the Supreme Court. And he made it clear, first of all, he tried to define the relationship between the 3 tiers of government. And he made it clear that in our constitutional democracy, where power is shared between federal, state, and local government, that no tier of government is subordinate to the other. He told the federal government there that you cannot question how a local government money is being managed. Neither can a state do the same. It is the responsibility of the local government where these funds have been sent to ask and demand. Who are they going to demand from? Their councillors and their chairmen. Now, if not for the Supreme Court judgment of July 11, the first thing Senator Bobodo would have done on swearing in was to dissolve the elected chairman and councillors immediately and bring in his council committee. The people he brought in as a asset recovery committee are just being technical. They are trying to see if they can say that no, they didn't give us any financial report, so dissolve them. But I know there are 4 Supreme Court judgments against that, and that's why he's being careful. If not, it would have been done even without any reference to anybody, because that's where we have found ourselves. Today, that asset implementation committee is looking at activities as it has to do with Godwin Obaseki as governor of Edo State, not the 18 local government chairmen and councillors. The chairman will prepare whatever. And of course, they don't have any budget. They have managed that place in the last couple of years without any budget. So what financials are you talking about? Maybe that committee will now find out that the immediate past governor, Godwin Obaseki, was equally the governor and chairman of local governments. So can that lead to something? Yes, the answer is that it will lead to a situation where these chairmen can now brace up and get their funds, get their budget, and run their money and account to their people, not to that panel, please.
All right. In all of these, it does look like the governors are the ones stalling this system and this process to go through. Better than what we have seen, knowing that they're only spending 4 years, at most 8 years. Why do you think? Why is it not possible for the laws to be created in such a way that the governors will not be having any form of interference in the local government system?
The laws are clear. The Supreme Court again in 2006 made it clear that our constitution and the provisions are superior and super. Our challenge, our problem remains the operators. Who are these operators? Political party members like myself. Okay? Nigerians. Are we importing anybody from France? Are we bringing anybody from Brazil? Is Bush coming to resume presidency in January as a Nigerian? The answer is no. Do we travel around the world and see where things are functioning? In London, it's better and easier to be a prime minister than to be elected a councillor in London, in England. Everybody knows that. Because of enormous responsibility, if your light goes off, if your water is not functioning, if there's a pothole within your area, if the markets are not functioning, it is a councillor that is required to fix them. That's the government closest. I'm in Imo State. I'm from Eziritem, the local government. I know that many people do not know anybody other than their councillor in their ward. They don't know any other political leader. They don't know any other government than the chairman who is sitting down in Eziritem government as their chairman. That's the highest government they know. And that is the man they cry to every day. What we have had over these last 45 years, since 1979, is the fact that the governors don't want to share power with anybody. That's pure and simple. They do not want to share power. Instead, they do everything to see whether they can wrestle the presidency from the president collectively, as they're doing in this tax reform now. You can see them. Have you had any local government chairman in any state airing their views about the VAT? Meanwhile, as of today, 35% of VAT goes to local governments. Are they entitled to an increase? I have made a case in 2015 that there's an aberration. Federal government cannot get 15%, FRS gets additional 4%, and that is 19% of VAT. That they should reverse the funds and take only 4% and move the other 15%, 5% to the state and 10% to the local government. Today, the federal government has given state government 5% and hijacked the other 10% plus the 4% of FRS. Is any local government chairman talking about it? If any of them makes a comment, do you know that what has not happened anywhere has happened in Nigeria? Chairmen and councillors were asked to sign resignation letter and hand over to the governors as one of the conditions. And I've asked them from my place, where is the governor going to submit that decision letter? Is it to the House of Assembly or to the councillors? Can you imagine the way we want to circumvent the law? I know and I'm aware that the code of conduct will be moving into this matter. I am aware that ICPC has received petitions on this errant nonsense. I'm aware that the Nigerian Police Force, Special Force Unit, are equally being mobilized. We are talking about between 1999 and 2003, 27 trillion naira was allocated as federal allocation to the local governments, and the governors pocketed it. That's what we're talking about. Today, nobody is talking about how do we recover those funds from them. That is why they were smart enough, bring in chairmen and councillors, ask them to write post-dated resignation letter, which they kept in their government house after swearing them illegally. And then they're now telling them that's why none of them can even utter a word in when the issue of the tax reform is being discussed, and to get 35% of the VAT as part of that reform. Okay?
Right.
So,
okay, we all understand that if there is an enforcement of the Supreme Court's judgment, from July of this year, which already clarifies that there's no constitutional amendments needed for local government autonomy. It means state simply need to follow and let local governments perform their rules. But two key questions I want to ask you. With 768 local government areas in Nigeria, how can effective implementation of this judgment transform local governance nationwide? And what steps do you think the government should take to comply with the Supreme Court judgment?
Now, my sister, if as at in the next 1 week, every local government in Nigeria is preparing their budget. What is the budget meant for? To service the people. They'll find out the rules. If you take a walk to my own local government in Eziritem, in Imo State, you will marvel. That was the local government where I was in charge in 1996. It was a local government, even with zero allocation there, that was grading roads, working on the markets, working on the parks. Today, that local government, the thick bush right inside the chairman's office, they caught an antelope. An antelope was caught in the office of the chairman 3 months ago. You cannot believe this. So, if we have a functional local government, first of all, they will sit down with the President General of the town unions and the executive of the local government, the treasurers, the HPM and all of them. They will sit down and articulate what are the needs of the individual villages and communities. It is this articulation that they will now put up in an estimation and it performs an appropriation that will be laid before the councillors. Who are the councillors? These are the legislators already evolving from each ward, about 8,810 of them. Okay, they'll be sitting down in the local government to look at what is it that is the need of our people. Is it primary education? Do we need more? Now we're talking about out of school children. Why are they out of school? Are they have no funds to build more schools? Can we recruit more teachers? We're talking about unemployment, but we have schools without teachers. Okay, pensioners are not being paid. Who are the pensioners that belong to local government? Can they be paid so that the macro economy they turn around? When people have enough money, there's enough activity going on. Now, there is no magic other than the fact that if the governors, with due respect, allow the local governments to prepare their budget for 2025 and implement it, if anybody comes to Nigeria by this time next year, he will think he lives in a different country. I will bet my life on it. Okay? Because you are talking about total grassroots development. This issue of Boko Haram, this issue of unknown government, where are they going to operate from? When the chairman and councillors are in charge, when they are when a man can walk into his local government and get a contract to grade roads, get a contract to review the market, get a contract to build the primary schools and some other things, why is he going to get involved in criminal activity that will harm him when he can earn legitimately and he pays his taxes and be willing to come out with honor that is a good citizen of his country? We are talking about unknown government today because there's unknown government. It is an absence of governance at the third tier that led to unknown government, especially in the southeast. The same thing that brought Boko Haram and Lakurawa and whatever you call them now, the bandits. It is absence of governance at the third tier because you know what government is all about. The chairman and his councillors, with all the executive and legislative powers, will run effectively. Okay, there will be no gap. And they are the chiefest, they are accountable to them. There is an EFCC, ICPC, there's Nigeria Police Fraud Unit, NFIU, that will put an eye on them. So he's talking about fraud. That's why I took offense. When someone like Senator Adams or somebody is talking about having someone as his chiefs, can he on his honor look at someone like myself, as a local government chairman, talk about stealing money? I have the records of while I was in charge, and they are out there. And nobody can do that. Now, implementation does not call for any other than obeying the rule of law. We have subscribed that we will run and manage by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. What does it state? That there shall be local governments. These local governments shall be funded from both the Federation account and LGA. My sister, there is this argument of joint account. The joint account has been mismanaged by commentators over time. What is the joint in it? First, there will be a federation account captured under Section 7 sub 6A. Money coming from federation account from Abuja. Then each state of the federation is required in their IGR to add 10% of that same IGR to the one coming from Abuja. Assuming my local government is in Mbise,
right,
is giving 100 million naira from Abuja. It is expected that in Imo State, the IGR of Imo State can add additional 10 million, making it 110 million, and not for the governor of Imo State to now hijack the 100 million from Abuja and then maybe come and give the chairman 1.5 million and pocket the rest. That's what we're talking about.
Honorable Elder Ngozi Homa, thank you very much. I'm afraid this is the most you can take for this discussion. Thank you for your time this morning.
Always my pleasure, and I thank Signature TV for the effort that you have made how I wish other news media will join you honestly. Honestly, we are not maligning anybody. Honestly, to deliver local government back to the people, and there will be total governance, and by God's grace, we shall overcome.
Thank you. All right, we go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll bring you more. You don't go anywhere.